What we are doing today is translations. Translations are just moving this picture. So as we say here, above there was a translation from triangle ABC to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. A prime or B prime or C prime, that little apostrophe there, just means the image after being moved. So when we look at this picture, this purple one has all my primes on it, so that means it's the second one. This guy with all my original letters means it is the first one. So a translation just means a movement. And that's either side to side or up and down. Or both. It might move 2 to the left and 5 up or something like that. So this says describe what translation happened. So this is important that we know that I need to start at the green triangle, the one that doesn't have my primes on it. So if I look at A and I want to look from, how do I get from A to A prime? How do I go from the start to the finish? Well, it looks like I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left. And then it looks like I go 2 up. Now you'll notice that I could have done that for any of these letters. If I change colors here to go from B to B prime, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left and 2 up. Same thing if I look at C to C prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left and 2 up. All of these guys move the exact same way in the exact same direction. So I said, let us use math notation. And the way that you see it is like this. X comma Y, so the coordinate point for one of your starting ones, moves to A something, B something. So here's how this works. The A is either going to have plus a number or minus a number. Plus is going to move us right, however many you say plus. So plus 5 would say 5 to the right. Minus will move us left. And that kind of makes sense because see how A comes first and X comes first. X talks about left-right movement, so a plus or minus on the A will move us either left or right. So here, the B goes with the Y, so we're talking about up-down movement. So here, a plus will move up, and a minus will move down. So if I look at my triangles from up here, we said that this moved 5 to the left and 2 up. So if I wanted to write that in math notation, to say 5 to the left, that would be A minus 5. To say 2 up, that would be B plus 2. I could do that for any translation I see. So here we have the same idea. Write a rule for the translation of triangle ABC to its image. So again, it is important. Look for the ones without primes for where you start. So I start here. I always like to start at A, but if there's a letter you like better, you could certainly start with that. And I need to end up at A prime. I need to end up at the image of A. So take a second to count that. What is the movement? Well, it looks to me like I go 2 to the right and 3 up. So if I write that in math notation, that's going to say X comma Y turns into A, I want to say 2 to the right, so that will be plus 2. B, I want to say 3 up, so that'll be B plus 3. Right? Remember these guys. Plus moves right or plus moves up, just depending on where you put it. Minus moves left or minus moves down, depending on where you put it. So here again, I have the exact same idea. Write a rule for the translation of BC to its image. Take a second to try that one on your own. Now here I see B, and here I see B prime, or the image of B. So if I count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and 1 up. So in math notation, I'm going to say x comma y turns into 5 to the left would be a minus 5. Oh, my apologies. 1 up would say b plus 1. So here I have graphed the image of ABCD after the translation. This is almost the same thing, it's just a little bit backwards. It gives us what the translation is, and we have to take this and physically graph it. So look at what this says, a plus 3. Plus in the a's, it says to the right, so this is saying move right 3. B minus 2, this is saying down 2. So I'm going to take each of these points and I'm going to move them. And I should also end up with a square. You always end up with the same shape you started with. So let's take A. If I take A, move it to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, and down 2, I'm going to wind up right here. So let's mark that with A prime. Let's do the same for B. Here's my B. Move to the right 3, down 2. So here's my B prime. Let's take C, move it to the right 3, down 2. So here's my C prime. And here is my D, so move it to the right 3, down 2. So here is my D prime. Now notice that at the beginning I had a shape. I went from A to B to C to D back to A. So I should still end up with a shape. So I need to go from A to B to C to D and back to A so that I still have my square. So here it says, what is the pre-image? So I want to know what is the original if all I get is the end result, right? Here have my primes. The translation XY is A minus 4, B minus 2 was performed on AB. So let's look at this. A minus 4 said we moved down 4, and we moved left 2. And we wound up here. So if I want to know where was it beforehand, I have to undo this. I need the pre-image. I have to do the opposite here. So the opposite of moving down 4 would be to move up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The opposite of left 2 would be right 2, so 1, 2. So the original A must have been here. And I can check that by doing the actual operation. If I start at A, or what I think is A, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, I end up at A prime. So that one is consistent. Let us do the same thing to B prime. If I want to find the original, I have to do the opposite. So the opposite of down 4 would be up 4. Oh, I apologize. I have done this whole thing wrong. And I'm sorry you guys have to do it because I'm not going to cut this out. A minus 4 actually says to the left 4. Good on you if you caught that. And B minus 2 actually says down 2. I had this mixed up. My apologies. So I'm going to start at A prime again. To find the original, I do the opposite. The opposite of left 4 would be to the right 4. The opposite of down 2 would be up 2. So here would be my original A. And again, check that. Go to the left 4, down 2, and I do end up at the image. For B prime, let's check that guy out. Opposite of left 4 and down 2 would be right 4 and up 2. For an original B, check it by going left 4 and down 2. Now notice that this is a line, which means my end result should also be a line. Sorry if I confused you there. All right, the last one is a one that the error test loves. It says, what is the error And finding mistakes is a question that the error test loves. So it tells us what it tried to do. We took the triangle ABC, so the original, we moved it to the left one, and we moved it down 2. So see if you can spot the mistake here in this picture. Did we go from the original, go left 1, and down 2? Now, this is one that the error test loves, because if you are just casually looking at this, I see left 1, down 2, hey, it looks okay. Except there's a problem here. That did not go from the original to the image. That went in reverse. That went from the image to the original. So, this is why it is so important to look for those apostrophes, those primes. If I actually start at the original and go left 1 and down 2, I'm off the graph. So, the mistake here is that they went from the image, or the second time around, to the original, not from the original to the image. So if I wanted to actually write this rule out, to go from A to A prime, just because that would be good practice. If I start at A and I want to wind up here, that's going to be right 1, up 2. So the actual rule has us going from X comma Y. Remember, it's going to have an A and a B in it. To say right 1 would be plus 1. To say up 2 would be plus 2.